Unlike most other collectibles, action figures haven't exactly been safe from aging. While the physical degradation does play a part, most of the time it's style. What I mean by that is that the majority of action figures before the late 2010s have aged, well, like shit. Since they were all sculpted by hand and didn't have any of the modern luxuries action figures have now, such as 3D printing and facial printing, time hasn't been the most kind to them, especially with the company Toy Biz. While other companies at the time focused solely on the sculpting and painting, Toy Biz took it a step further, doing both while also focusing on what made an action figure, Articulation. On paper this sounds great, especially since they were creating figures that had joints that wouldn't be in most figures until several years later. In practice, it's not that great. A lot of the time the articulation greatly hindered the sculpt, creating odd gaps in the joints that would break up the sculpt. The one that stands out the most being the hips. Instead of having sculpted the hips like a normal person, they created these god-awful, perfectly spherical hips. Seeing all of these figures and hearing about how much they've aged like shit, you would probably think that none of them could hold up in 2025. And that's where you're wrong. Because in this pile of anorexic Spider-Man and extra chromosome Captain Americas, there is one figure that can still be proudly displayed next to your action figures of today. A beloved Marvel character. I am of course talking about Green Goblin X-Men Rogue. Yep, just look at her. A thing of beauty.
Nigga, I'm tweaking!
Just kidding. I'm talking about the one and only Norman fucking your girlfriend Osborn, aka the Green Goblin. Just looking at this guy, he's a work of art. Before we ride the ever-loving shit out of this figure, a quick history about him. This guy was in Toy Biz's Marvel Legends series, and Wave 13, a part of the Onslaught Build-A-Figure wave. This wave came out in 2006, making this figure nearly 20 goddamn years old. It's also the same year that Toy Biz lost the license to make Marvel action figures, making this one of their last releases, and it's a hell of a send-off. Unlike in Marvel Legends today, Toy Biz had certain figures that had different variant versions. Green Goblin was one of these figures, and had an unmasked version featuring a laughing Norman Osborn head sculpt, as well as a little crumpled up Green Goblin mask that he was holding. Unfortunately, I don't have this variant, so I can't show it in hand, but what I do have is the normal version, so let's take a closer look. Arguably this figure's best part, being from the legendary group, the Four Horsemen. They put tons of love into the sculpt. His legs and arms were given this scaly texture meant to mimic the green chainmail that Green Goblin wears. His gloves and boots were given the same love, with a nice scrunched up leather look. The torso is an interesting one, as it has the same leathery texture as the gloves and boots, but also adds sleeves that a certain Green Goblin figure seemed to forget about, as well as his neck. Even his soft, rubbery man purse
This ain't no fucking purse.
gets some nice love and detail. It's flattened in the back, so it's not bloated and doesn't get in the way. And speaking of flattened, Green Goblin, you have no ass. Yeah, I didn't want to talk about this, but it's kind of impossible to avoid. His ass is insanely flat. I know Green Goblin isn't known for being caked up, but this is just silly. Even Hulk is more caked up than him. But enough passes. Time to look at the best sculpted part. If you know anything about Toy Biz figures, you know their faces and head sculpts are the worst part, but Green Goblin breaks that trend by being damn near perfect. He looks like he just jumped out of an issue of Amazing Spider-Man, having that classic silver and bronze age look. With his sadistic and menacing grin, he looks like a sick fuck, which is perfect for Goblin. His eyes not having that weird disassociating look that modern Green Goblin figures tend to have for some reason. He's looking straight at ya. His head is made out of a soft rubber, so his giant Dumbo ears and hat won't break. Besides his flat ass, the only big issue are the hands. They're kind of gigantic. It's not as bad as McFarlane's Superman with its giant boxing glove hands, but it can still be kind of weird if you look at it too much. Since he's holding his pumpkin bomb 90% of the time on his left hand, you won't really notice it too much. Now this figure isn't some Gamaguchi, but for a 2006 Marvel Legends figure, it's not too bad. In total, it has 34 points of articulation, and for an era where figures were lucky to have more than 5 points of articulation, I'd say that's pretty decent. From the top to bottom, he has a disc hinge at the neck that goes a decent amount up and down, enough for him to look up from his glider. Ball joints at the shoulder that can do a full 360 and get a pretty high amount going higher than 90 degrees. Bicep swivel, which is a bicep swivel. Double jointed pinned elbows that don't go too far, only really going a little above 45 degrees. Forearm swivel that's nicely hidden behind the glove. A wrist hinge that goes one way. Articulated fingers. Going to the torso, we get an ab crunch that goes an alright amount back and forth. A ratcheted torso swivel that goes all around. 2 gigantic, ugly, fat, smelly, spherical, ball-jointed hips. They may stick out like a sore thumb, but they do work. His legs go up 90 degrees, as well as do perfect splits. Thigh swivels go all around. Double jointed knees that go way back. Boot swivel that's cleverly hidden behind the boot. Ankle hinge joint and the lovely and useful toe joints. As you can see, it poses decently well. The range of joints aren't insane, but they do serve their purpose and do a decent job. You can get him in all sorts of crazy and evil poses. Gobby doesn't come with a lot, but he comes with what he really only needs. As said before, he was a part of the Onslaught Build-A-Figure wave, so he comes with the right leg of the Onslaught Build-A-Figure, but I don't have it. What really matters is that he comes with this iconic flying glider. It's nice and long, painted a dark gunmetal silver, which really helps the Green Goblin stand out with his green chainmail. The glider even comes with a stand for it to stand on, so you can have him up on your shelf flying around and throwing bombs. And it's a nice stand too, it's not flimsy at all and will hold the goblin. Even shaking him around a bit, neither the glider or goblin shake around all that much. I'm not sure if you can count this as an accessory, since it's glued to his hand, but he comes with a pumpkin bomb. You can do what I do and just heat it up, the hairdryer, and pop it out. Once you do, you can see how nice it is. It's painted a nice metallic orange and has its tip painted green with the same metallic shine. You also don't have to worry about him not being able to hold it, since it's held in together with a peg. He may not come with alternate heads or hands, but you get significantly more bang for your buck with a whole ass glider and a Build-A-Figure piece. Now for some comparisons. Here he is all by himself in his green goodness. Here's him with some modern Marvel Legends. Most figures don't follow true 1/12 scale and instead follow closer to 1/11 scale, so he comes across as small since Soybiz was doing true 1/12 scale. Here he is with some Mayfix Spider-Man. Him being slender works really well with these figures. They honestly look really good together, especially when they're all posed up. Here he is with some Mayfix Spider-Man villains. Mayfix Venom is also pretty short, so Gobby being small actually works to both of their advantage. Here he is with some SH figure arts. You get the idea, he works pretty decently with smaller 1/12 figures. Now as for price, since he came out 20 years ago, you unfortunately can't walk into a Target and get him today, and can only get him in the second-hand market. This guy heavily fluctuates in price. He can be as low as $28 or as high as $50 for him loose, without the Build-A-Figure piece. Complete M-box within the blister, he actually isn't insanely expensive, only being $60 to $75. Personally, I got him for a steal. Just be a little patient, and I'm sure you can get him under $30. I'm gonna be honest, I really like this figure, and that's coming from someone who isn't a terribly huge fan of Marvel Legends. His sadistic grin, his slick and angular glider, and the fact that he's held up this well longer than most figure collectors have been alive. It's not perfect, but what it strives to do, it does incredibly well. That's all for now. Thank you so much for sticking around this long. I really do appreciate it. If you like this video and want to see more reviews, go ahead and subscribe. See ya.
And meanwhile, while Wobble drank his milk, Charlie tried to catch the sunshine. But every time that he thought he had one, they slipped out. Slowly Charlie is getting angry. He is hitting around and starts to curse louder. Oh shit.